Look, every spirit, every living thing must have a suitable environment for it to grow. Hello, beautiful souls, you're welcome. In our former video, we were talking about why we go through pain and suffering and how this pain is actually a good thing, as it makes us more like God and makes us to have a relationship with God so that we don't miss Him at the end of this earthly toil and hustle. So, in the last video, I said I would talk about demons, why they're attacking, and how you can ward off this attack, come out of this attack, or not even be prone to an attack. No, demons are fallen angels that rebelled against God, so they were cast off. They were made to serve God, do the bidding of God, but because God gave all of us free will, they decided they had what they wanted to do for themselves, and they did not want to do what God asked them to do, so they rebelled and they were cast off. You can't be two masters on a ship, so they were cast off from heaven. They were so slighted by this and now waged war against God, and the only way to get to God is to make man do the same thing that they did, and in doing this, man is destroyed. The aim is to make man an enemy to God, and by doing this, destroying man that God loves so much. Now, God is so good and there is no atom of evil in Him, so He can't afflict you and do things to destroy you or harm you because He feels like. So most times He uses the enemy to draw us to Himself by allowing the only thing they know how to do, which is wreak havoc, cause pain, and do a lot of evil. So in doing this, afflicting us, attacking us, we look for God. So that's it. He allows it so that He can use it as a string to draw us back to Himself. For instance, if your life is going on well, you have a good family, good children, nice career, finance is top notch, your health is good, you might not even see the need to ask why you were created. You're living out of selfish desires. This is me, this is my life, I'm enjoying my life, and it's all about me. Not and forgetting that there is a reason, there is a creator that created you and sent you for a reason. So you don't even pay attention to the purpose, the reason why you are here. And now you see the person all of a sudden develops a kind of sickness. Medically, the person can't get help. So the only thing the person will do now is to cling to spiritual healing. And by doing that, you now begin to grow a relationship with God. So this attack is ultimately allowed to draw us to God, to build up virtues, to sanctify and purify our soul while having a relationship with God, so that we can be more like God and do His will here on earth, bring down His glory, let His kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven. There are different forms of oppression. We are just going to run through these forms of attacks. The first is infestation. This is where evil spirits have access to your dwelling area, your articles, your materials. They attack those things. You just see some kind of erratic behavior in your house, things probably moving. Some people experience this. I have experienced it before. That was when I was in a place that was really, it was like almost like the person was converted the house to a shrine. So I could be here and I was just seeing chairs moving. Free will. So yes, that's infestation. And then there's affliction. This is where the enemy has access to your health, and it could be mental health, it could be physical health, it could be any form of affliction on the body. And you have obsession. This is an attack on the mind, where you feel you're conversing with yourself, someone offends you, and then you see a conversation in your mind, see how they did it because of that and that and that will ultimately lead you to venting out in a way that God will not be happy with, in a way that is not pleasing to God. So, obsession, you keep doing things based on what over time you have processed in your mind, and there is oppression. This is where you hear things like, I'm addicted to smoking, I'm addicted to pornography, I'm addicted to food. Yeah, because some good things can actually be very bad. I'm addicted to drinking, and all these things that, excessively, anything you do to the excessive is detrimental by default. So you eat food, in as much as food is good, you eat it excessively, turns to obesity, and you have health issues. So you see yourself, or is it smoking that could lead to cancer? You see yourself doing things that you know is detrimental to your health, but you feel you cannot help it. And then the next level is the demonic possession. In this, there are two categories. There's partial possession. In this state, the person still has some form of reason. You can still have time, lucid moments where you're yourself and you're just normal yourself acting, and then other points where you feel there's something controlling and making you do things. So I say making you do things, and then there's the full-blown possession where in that point you don't see the person manifesting things. They are not loud, they are very quiet, subtle, but these ones are totally controlled by the enemy. So this control we're talking about, let us be very aware that the enemy has no control over your will. God has no definite control over your will. He can only urge you to do, but the ultimate choice comes from you. Just like the enemy, he can lure you, tempt you, but the ultimate choice to fall into that temptation is you. And that is why God is so just, that in the end, if the work that you have done is evil, you're going to be damned, condemned, and it's going to be just because you consented to it. There's no one that will say, someone say, it's the work of the devil. The devil made me do it. He lured you, but it was left for you to either say yes or no, or seek help to overcome it. So the ultimate choice comes from you. Let's get that very straight. So everything depends on your will, and you are the only one that has the control over your will, either to incline to good or to incline to evil. Now, how can we overcome this attack? The first the enemy does is to keep you from knowing. Ignorance leads to sin. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. They don't perish because they are being attacked. They don't perish because of any form of attack. They perish because they do not know. And when you don't know something, you are inclined to sin. Ignorance is not going to give approval from God that, okay, I'm not going to count it as sin because you didn't know. No, it is your duty to know. And what the enemy fights first is for you not to know. For you not to know this sin is a good environment for him to thrive. Look, every spirit, every living thing must have a suitable environment for it to grow. If you could put a corn seed in a sack in a room without sun, without water, it's not going to grow. If you take fish out of water and put it on ground, it will die off. The same way, if you create a sinful atmosphere, you will see the spirits that are associated with that kind of atmosphere thriving there. If you go to Galatians chapter 5 from verse 19 to 21, you'll see the works of the flesh: adultery, fornication, impurity, lustfulness, pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, reviling, disobedience, anger, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties. Now, if you fall into, you have even a little bit of this environment, you will see the spirits that will thrive there. And actually, it might be small, but when they are operating there, they are growing. You see yourself expanding. They will grow in that little sin that you have given them to grow in. Now, the abstract of sin is holiness. I don't know why people are not really talking about holiness as victory and dominion in life, in living. The abstract of it is holiness. Fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. In this kind of atmosphere and environment, the devil, the enemy, cannot thrive there. A holy environment is so repulsive to the evil spirits. They can't thrive there. So what will thrive there is the spirit associated with that environment, which is the Spirit of God. And God in His Word has told us that His will for us is of good and not of evil. So know where you have God, there is goodness. And let's not confuse the world standard of goodness with God's standard of goodness. So there is goodness. God is all good. Even when things are not going our way, we know to the degree that we see, but God sees all and knows the beginning from the end. So know that whatever situation you're in at a particular time, God has allowed it for a greater good. And there's something we need to know in all these things, that the degree to which we are attacked is the degree to which God has permitted. The enemy capitalizes on sin, which is lawlessness, but he is not lawless in the presence of God. He obeys the authority of God. So where God has not permitted him, he cannot go there. He only goes and does anything to the degree that which he has been given permission to do. If you know this at the back of your mind, and know that whatever it is that looks like attack that you're going through is what God has permitted, and God has permitted it so that you will see what He is calling you to do in that particular situation, then you will thrive, you will be victorious. We'll look a little bit at this family generational cause and problems and affliction. If you look through the watchmen in the Bible, Ezekiel, the likes of Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, these men were saying, people of Israel, do not go back to the sins that your forefathers committed, lest the wrath of God will fall upon you, lest destruction will come upon you. But if you can disconnect yourself and live obediently according to the mandate, dictates, and the will of God, you will see goodness around you. So if you see a particular pattern in your family lineage coming from generation to generation, know that you need to work on your holiness level, your level with God, the degree to which you are one with God. Work on that, and you will see that those patterns cannot thrive in your life, because that environment you have created will not allow for their thriving. Thank you so much for your time. In the next video, we're going to be talking about holiness. What is holiness? How do we attain holiness? How we can be holy by living ordinary lives. Thank you so much for your time again. And remember, Jesus loves you. Please remain blessed. Till we see next time. Bye for now.